The sun had long fled behind the dunes, leaving the desert in a blanket of silver shadows. I rode slowly, not toward triumph, not toward fame, but toward the walls that once knew the rhythm of my heart. O house of memories, do you still remember me, the boy who carved dreams into your stones, the young man who whispered poetry into your empty rooms, hoping that one day those verses would echo back from your walls, carrying the laughter of a love once cherished? The world called me Fazza, a rider, a prince, a poet of fire and storms, but tonight, all titles fell away. I am only a man, returning to the place where my soul first learned to beat for another. Each step toward the gate feels like a lifetime. Every grain of sand beneath my horse's hooves, whispering secrets I had long buried. What right have I, after years of wandering, to seek entry into the sanctuary of her heart again? I remember her hands, gentle and firm, the way she held my restless heart and turned it toward the calm of home. I remember the nights she waited, lamp in hand, eyes wide with silent hope, her prayers rising like incense in the quiet air. How many suns have set since then? How many moons have traveled the sky, while I chase shadows far from her arms? Yet here I return, not as a conqueror, not as a prince claiming victories, but as a man seeking forgiveness, a soul seeking the sanctuary it abandoned. O walls, do you remember the laughter, the whispered dreams, the poetry that once filled your room? Do you remember the moments when love was young and eternal, and every heartbeat was a vow carved into time itself? I dismount silently, feeling the rough earth beneath my feet, and press my hand to the gate. It is more than wood, it is memory. It is the pulse of a life I left behind. It is the echo of her heart calling to mine. The night is heavy, yet the stars burn like witnesses. Each flicker reminds me of her eyes, brighter than any celestial fire, soft yet piercing, gentle yet commanding. I had crossed kingdoms, I had faced storms and battles, but the courage needed for this one moment exceeds all the victories I ever claimed. For here lies not just a house, but the woman who first gave my soul its shape, the one whose absence left me hollow, the one whose love I abandoned in foolish pride. O beloved, do you hear me? Do you know that I have returned, not to demand, but to offer the remnants of a heart, still beating for you alone? I kneel briefly, the sand cold beneath my knees, and whisper into the night, I am here, even after years, even after storms, even after silence. I am here. A faint wind stirs the jasmine in the courtyard, and I am transported to mornings we shared, to the sunlight on her hair, to the soft cadence of her voice, to the poetry she inspired in every corner of this home. I realize that love does not live in grand gestures. It lives in quiet mornings, in patience, in forgiveness. I have wandered far, seeking the world, but the world is empty without the walls that first cradled my heart. I lift my eyes to the gate, and for the first time in years, I feel hope trembling in my chest. Perhaps she waits. Perhaps the walls themselves have carried my prayers until this night, until I walked back to the place where my heart was first known, where love first made me whole. The dawn had not yet touched the desert, but the air carried the weight of memories, heavy as the stones she once placed in the courtyard, delicate as the petals of jasmine that fell beneath our feet. I remember how she used to rise before the sun, her hands steady, her heart patient, tending to every corner of our small kingdom, with love that asked for nothing in return. And I, foolish and blind, had wandered into the world, chasing glory while leaving the home of my soul behind. The gate before me is more than wood. It is a threshold of time, a bridge between the boy who left and the man who has finally returned. I press my hand against it, feeling the pulse of memories that have survived years of silence, and I whisper softly, do you remember me, beloved? Do you remember the one who carved his dreams into your walls? The desert around me listens in reverence, every grain of sand bearing witness to the courage it takes to face the house that holds the first love of my life. And even though the door remains closed, I am not afraid, For love does not demand openings. It thrives in presence, in hope, in the courage to stand where the heart was first known. I kneel briefly, the cold earth beneath me grounding my restless soul. Even if she never appears, even if her eyes do not meet mine, I am here. I have returned to the walls that knew my heart, and in returning, I have found the beginning of forgiveness, the first step toward a love that never truly left me. The morning wind stirred the jasmine, carrying with it the whispers of years I had lost. Each step I took toward the gate felt heavier than all the deserts I had crossed. I remembered her hands, gentle, strong, patient, how they had held my restless heart, guiding it through storms I thought I could face alone. I had wandered far, chasing the world outside, but no jewel, no crown, no victory could ever replace the home she had built inside me. The gate before me is alive with memory. It holds every promise I once made, every whispered verse, every vow of devotion. Even the stars seem to lean closer, watching the desert prince, no, the man, humble before the place where love first touched his soul. I whispered to the wind, carry my words to her heart. Tell her I have returned, not for glory, not for fame, not for riches, but for the woman whose love first made me whole. The courtyard was empty, yet it spoke. Each stone, each petal, each shadow, told the story of the years I had lost, the laughter I had abandoned, the prayers I had ignored, the quiet mornings I had forgotten. Oh beloved, do you remember the boy who once dreamed beneath your windows, writing poetry only your ears would hear? I have returned, not as the prince the world celebrates, but as the man who finally understands the value of your patience, the weight of your love, the depth of your forgiveness. I pressed my hand against the gate again, feeling the pulse of our memories flow like a river beneath my palm. Even if the door remains closed, even if her eyes never meet mine, I have returned, and in that return, I have discovered the courage to face the past, the strength to honor the love that never left me. The sun rose higher, gilding the courtyard in gold, and still the door remained closed. Yet I did not falter, for love is not measured by openings, but by the courage to stand where the heart was first known. I knelt briefly, the sand cold beneath my knees, and whispered her name to the morning wind. I am here, even after years, even after storms, even after silence, I have returned. Memories flooded over me, the laughter in early mornings, the quiet prayers before dusk, the gentle touch of hands that knew my soul. No empire, no crown, no conquest could ever compare to the home she built in the walls that first held my heart. I rose, heart pounding, soul trembling, knowing that some journeys are not measured by doors opening, but by the courage to return, the willingness to face the one who first taught the heart to love. The desert stretched endlessly around me, yet I felt anchored, for the walls that knew my heart had witnessed my return, and that was a victory greater than any I had ever known. The afternoon sun poured gold across the desert, yet my gaze remained fixed on the gate, the silent sentinel of the home that once cradled my heart. Each grain of sand beneath my boots seemed to whisper the stories of laughter and tears, of vows spoken beneath the stars, of mornings when love felt endless and eternal. I remembered her eyes, soft yet fierce, the way they held my soul accountable, the way they forgave even when my pride faltered. I had traveled kingdoms, crossed oceans, yet no road had ever led me closer to understanding than this moment before her door. Oh beloved, if you hear my words carried on the desert wind, know that I return not for pride, not for titles, not for wealth, but for the heart that once held me whole. I knelt before the gate, feeling the pulse of memory beneath my palm, and whispered softly, I am here. Even after years of silence, even after storms of my own making, I am here. A shadow shifted inside the house, a subtle flutter of cloth, a movement of breath. Perhaps she remembered Perhaps the heart that waited all these years still beats for the boy who once walked these sands with promises too young to understand their way. Oh, my first love, if the door opens, I will kneel again, not as a prince, not as a poet, but as the man who finally knows the depth of your patience, the magnitude of your love, and the power of your forgiveness. The desert stretches endlessly, yet I am anchored, for love has guided me back to the walls that first knew my heart, and that is a triumph greater than any crown, any conquest, any glory. The sun climbed higher, turning the desert into a sea of gold, and still the gate remained closed. Yet I stood unwavering, for courage is not measured by doors opening, but by the willingness to face what the heart has always known. I lifted my gaze to the windows, imagining her eyes, searching for me, the first spark of recognition, after years of silence. I pressed my hand against the gate, feeling the warmth of memory beneath my palm, and whispered softly, "Oh, my first love, I have returned, not for crowns, not for riches, not for glory or fame, but for the heart that first made me whole. Even if she never opens, even if her eyes never meet mine, I have returned. I have walked across deserts, storms, and years, carrying only a heart that never forgot, a soul that never abandoned its first home." The wind carried my vow through the courtyard, and the desert seemed to lean closer, as if witnessing the reunion that may never come, yet celebrating the courage to return. I knelt once more, the sand cold beneath my knees, and felt a peace I had not known in years. For some journeys are not measured by arrival, but by the strength to return, the humility to face love unguarded, the devotion to honor what the heart has always cherished. And so I remained, Fazza the prince, Fazza the poet, Fazza the wanderer. Yet here, at the walls that knew my heart, I was only a man, finally home, finally complete, finally forgiven by time itself.